Hey everybody, so today I want to show you guys a few ways that I approach tracking and mixing heavy vocals. Singing, screaming, it really doesn't matter. The trick is to get the best possible sound on the way in, and then you'll have a lot less to worry about when it comes to mixing. First and foremost, when working with a cardioid microphone, the closer the vocalist gets to the diaphragm, the bass increases. This is called proximity effect. And with judicious use of this feature, you can easily control how the vocalist sounds. You want a thicker sound? Get them in closer. Too much bottom end? Have them back off a bit. And if you have several mics to choose from, have the vocalist try a few out to find what works best. I'm going to be doing a shootout in an upcoming episode demonstrating exactly how this works. Okay, so the one thing I can recommend more than anything else is to compress on the way in when you're tracking vocals. That means you have an external mic preamp wired into a compressor before the signal is recorded into your computer. My vocal chain is a Great River MP to NV into a distressor. I have had this setup since 2004 and it is freaking stellar. Believe me, the setup just saves a lot of work and I have no intention of updating it anytime soon. It just works. So why compress? Simply put, we're turning down the loud bits and then we're turning up everything as a whole. That's the basic idea anyway. There's a lot more to it and I'm gonna break it down in a future episode explaining the how and why of compression. But human vocals tend to be a bit all over the place when it comes to consistent volume, so we reach for a compressor. Now, I am not saying that you have to break the bank on top-end gear either. There are plenty of 1 and 2 channel preamps for under $500 US that will do the job. Same with compressors. You can grab an FMR really nice compressor for $175 off Amazon that will blow the doors off your plugins. And that's the thing, plugins are great, but I don't think they're quite there yet when it comes to compressing vocals. If someone could show me otherwise, I'll be more than happy to check it out. But in my experience, a real hardware comp just can't be beat for the application. And depending on the vocalist, even my distressor can't quite cope. You guys have seen Siegfried on my show a few times and he's incredibly dynamic. And on that Danger Zone track we did a few weeks back, the vocals were quite challenging to get right. My good friend Warren Hewitt over at Produce Like a Pro has a solution. He likes to use 2 compressors on vocals in series. A classic DBX 160 set to a low ratio for general leveling purposes, and that's wired into an 1176 to grab the peaks and loud passages. The end result is it being a nicely leveled out vocal performance that takes minimal tweaking in a mix. So when I got the tracks from Siegfried, they were probably the most dynamic vocals I have ever seen. The first step was to send them out to my distressor, and they were pretty good, but still very, very dynamic. I really had to get in there with the automation. That's moving the vocal fader up and down to go along with the different passages, and some parts were still buried. Check this out. So as you can see, the fader's jumping all over the place, but it still isn't that great. Enter STAM Audio. They were super cool and sent me their new SA2A tube leveling amp, which is their version of the classic LA2A. Now, the STAM is dead simple to control. A couple of switches and knobs, that's it. The basic idea being that it compresses harder as the signal increases. I'm going to have a full review of it in the coming weeks. Anyway, so I applied Warren's dual compressor trick to the situation. STAM SA2A into the distressor, the STAM being the gentle comp on the softer passages and the distressor set to a higher ratio with a fast attack and release to grab the peaks. And this is what we got.
Highway to
just a lot fuller and a whole lot less work to get them to sit in a mix, and the harmonies played better with the main tracks as well. If you're using plugins, you might want to try this method and see what you can get. It might actually be pretty cool. Tell you what, let's try it out with a Sonymous 2-Co as a soft compressor and a Slate Blue Stripe 1176. Okay, not too bad for a first try. I think with some work, it might do the trick, but I don't think I'm gonna be giving up my STAM and distressor anytime soon. And by way of comparison, here's what that clip sounds like with no compression. Yeah, the vocals are barely there. To recap, we're turning down the loudest parts so we can turn everything up as a whole. Okay, that's singing. Well, what about the screaming extreme Cookie Monster type stuff? Well, I'll usually use a 4:1 ratio on the distressor, medium attack and release. It is very transparent. Set it this way and you can get pretty aggressive with it without it sounding like there's a compressor in the signal chain. Once again, it's not overly difficult, and you can probably get some very similar results with an FMR compressor for $175. Now, somebody asked me about de-essing in the comments of the last video, and that's a specific type of compression set to clamp down on certain high frequencies. The short answer? I barely use it because I don't abuse EQ on vocals. When you've got the right mic up, you don't need much EQ, if any. And that will be the subject of my next installment. EQ, delay, and reverb on metal vocals. If you guys have questions about recording vocals or recording in general, please leave them below because I really want to hear from you. That being said, I think we're going to start doing tutorials every Wednesday. There are loads of great questions and I want to address the best ones with dedicated videos. And if you see a question in the comments that you might know the answer to, please join in. Let's get a discussion going. All right, that's it for this episode. I will see you guys next time. Take it easy.